John Cena is one of the greatest of all time, and with being one of the greatest of all time, surely comes a resume of great WrestleMania matches. Now, that's not entirely true, because although John Cena does have a rich history of WrestleMania matches and WrestleMania main events, some of those aren't exactly great, but some of them are absolute bona fide classics. And that's what we're going to be tier ranking today as we go through every single John Cena WrestleMania match and figure out whether it's a classic or whether it's trash. But before we get started, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, ring the bell for notifications. If you're a wrestling fan, this is the hub for you. Make sure to subscribe to get more videos, baby. But let's go ahead and get started with this, shall we? We're gonna start off with John Cena's first ever WrestleMania match at WrestleMania 20 for the United States Championship versus the then champion, Big Show. And if there were ever a championship that John Cena is synonymous with that isn't the WWE Championship, it is the United States Championship. So it is almost poetic that John Cena's first major championship win came at WrestleMania, and it was for the United States title. But that being said, although it was a very important match in the tale that is John Cena's great and historic in career, really, it wasn't a great match. So we're not starting off great. So it's going to go into not great, although it did have a very memorable moment with John Cena being one of the few people to easily pick up the Big Show, as he did for the FU, as it was called at the time, to win the United States Championship. But the match itself, it's slow. It's a little bit too methodical, but that being said, it's hard to have anything else aside from that against the Big Show. So it is what it is. But we're going to move on to the real coming of age of John Cena, WrestleMania 21. It is John Cena versus JBL, John Bradshaw Layfield, for the WWE Championship. And this really is John Cena's coming out party, his first ever WWE Championship, his first of many. 15 more after that, baby. That being said, the match itself was not a certified classic by any means, but it definitely wasn't bad. WrestleMania 21 in itself, for John Cena, felt a little bit underwhelming, even though he did win the WWE Championship, because it wasn't a very long match. It wasn't the main event. John Cena Batista versus Triple H was. That being said, it was a serviceable and acceptable match between John Cena and JBL at WrestleMania 21. So it's going to go into the acceptable category, if even at the very least, it might even go under great, just because of how iconic and important this match is, not just for John Cena, but for the WWE as a whole, because that night the WWE found their guy for the next 12 plus years. Now let's go on to another very important inflection point in John Cena's career, and that is WrestleMania 22 in Chicago, match for the WWE Championship, the very main event, the last match of WrestleMania 22 between John Cena and the cerebral assassin, the King of Kings, Triple H. And the reason why this match is so important, because this is the match where the crowd finally turned on John Cena. This was the inception, the birth of the "Let's Go Cena, Cena sucks" chants, which followed John Cena for the rest of his career. The match was actually fantastic. If I go back to, this is one of the matches that I do genuinely love to go back to watch. The in-ring stuff is great, but it's the crowd energy and atmosphere that actually makes this into a classic. Now, when I say classic, I don't mean like a 5-star match that's going to be getting all sorts of accolades for their in-ring work. There's a lot of things for me when it comes to labeling something as a classic, and the crowd plays a big part, and the significance of the match also plays a very big part as well. I'm putting this under classic because of everything that was involved there. Not only was this the night that John Cena conquered who was at the time the true head of the table of the WWE and Triple H, but it was also the night that the WWE Universe officially rejected John Cena, thus making this a classic. But it was back-to-back classics, my friends, for John Cena versus Shawn Michaels, arguably John Cena's best WrestleMania match of his career. It it wasn't even their best match, because they went on to have an even better match at Monday Night Raw shortly after this WrestleMania. But this WrestleMania match was, like I said, arguably John Cena's best match of his illustrious WrestleMania run. It almost goes hand in hand with that WrestleMania 22 match. It's almost like its sequel, because it was the same thing. A crowd that just did not want John Cena to win. The John Cena, let's go Cena, Cena sucks chants were so prevalent during this match. People were clamoring for Shawn Michaels to get one more title run, but there was Super Cena to stop it all in a fantastic 20+ minute match. I am putting John Cena versus Shawn Michaels in the classic category when it comes to John Cena matches. And next we have one that I personally, I didn't really vibe with. It was WrestleMania 24, Triple H versus Randy Orton versus John Cena. It's weird. You'd think that these guys would work significantly better together, but they really don't really gel that well together in the atmosphere of a triple threat match. That being said, it's absolutely not a bad match. I would put this one in the acceptable category. I'd say that it's better than the JBL match, but I was personally let down by this match in terms of what I think it could have been versus what it ended up being. So to me, it falls under the acceptable category. It's not a match that I clamor to go back and rewatch, but it's not a match that I actively avoid. So WrestleMania 24, John Cena, Triple H, and Randy Orton falls under the acceptable category. Next, we've got probably the first trash. It is WrestleMania 25, The Big Show versus Edge versus John Cena for the World Heavyweight Championship. I'm going to go ahead and put this in trash. I really did not enjoy this match. The Big Show was the biggest sore thumb in this match. It is honestly egregious looking back and seeing that the Big Show was there, because we never got a one-on-one match at WrestleMania between John Cena and Edge. That's what this match should have been, and the Big Show being there absolutely robbed us of that and completely slowed down the match and changed up what those two are capable of doing, because now you have to deal with a lumbering 500-pound monster in the ring. And although, yeah, we got that semi-iconic moment of John Cena briefly lifting them both up for an AA, aside from that, this is a very forgettable tumble of a match that I will never want to rewatch again. To me, it goes right into the trash category. Next, we've got one that I believe immediately goes into great. This was a really fun match between Batista and John Cena. And not only was this match great, their entire feud really was a lot of fun. It's kind of crazy to think that it took like years for these two to finally cross paths and have that enormous match at WrestleMania 26. We know it didn't main event. This is the same WrestleMania that The Undertaker versus Shawn Michaels, rightfully so, main evented, but it sure as hell felt like a main event. This is the coming of the two giants of the WWE, who were up to this point really separated by brands for many years. Anytime one went to Raw, the other one went to SmackDown, and vice versa. So we finally had them both on the same brand, and it led to a fantastic feud that also led to a wonderful WrestleMania match that I'm putting in the great category. Next, we've got, technically it was two matches, John Cena versus The Miz, and both of them fall under the trash category. I do think that this may be the worst WrestleMania main event that I've ever watched. I haven't seen every single WrestleMania from beginning to end in terms of like being there live. After the fact, now I have, of course, but like in terms of being there to purchase a WrestleMania, this is the worst WrestleMania that I've ever paid money for, essentially. And it also happened to have the worst main event that I've ever paid for, John Cena versus The Miz. Part of the problem was that I actually didn't care about John Cena versus The Miz, because neither did the WWE, because the entire buildup of this entire feud was really just about John Cena versus The Rock. And even the final minutes of the match really were about John Cena versus The Rock. The initial match ended in a double countout with The Miz retaining, and then of course The Rock comes out, restarts the match, hits John Cena with a rock bottom. The Miz wins. Bada beam, bada boom. It was technically two matches in one, but both of them fall under the trash category for me. And I firmly put that as John Cena's worst WrestleMania match, in my opinion. Next, we've got once in a lifetime. I know it ends up being twice in a lifetime, but once in a lifetime, John Cena versus Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson at WrestleMania 28. This is a certified hood classic. First of all, let's look back at this, at how crazy it is to think that we have not one, but two WrestleManias where The Rock and John Cena have faced off with one another. The Rock, of course, nowadays, the biggest thing that there is available in Hollywood. But the thing is that John Cena today is in the same spot in Hollywood that The Rock was back then in 2012. So we have not one, but two matches between two of the biggest celebrities to grace Hollywood today that exist. That is crazy. And the first one was actually really, really good. The crowd was electric, no pun intended. The match was a lot of fun. The Rock felt like he hadn't missed a step, even though he gained about 70 pounds of pure raw muscle. John Cena was at his finest. And of course, it ended up with John Cena losing, but holy smokes, this match was so much fun. It's iconic, it is unforgettable, and it is, in my opinion, the biggest WrestleMania main event of all time, knowing the context of how gigantic these two would go on to be in Hollywood. I don't think we can get a bigger main event than that. Honestly, I don't think it's possible with how big those two went on to become in Hollywood. That being said, the sequel, John Cena versus The Rock, honestly, almost to no fault of their own because of the injury to The Rock's groin really early on in the match. It's just going to go into acceptable. The match basically just eventually devolved into a finisher fest. They just went back and forth hitting each other with an AA, rock bottom, AA, rock bottom. I swear to God, there were like 18 finishers between the two until eventually finally one put the other one away. But because of The Rock's injury, it was very limited in terms of what they were able to do in the ring. And also the magic of the once in a lifetime from WrestleMania 28 wasn't there anymore. And because that magic wasn't there anymore, all we had to really go off of to get excited for was the actual in-ring match, and the in-ring match really suffered a lot because of that injury. So it really cannot go anything above than acceptable. I'm even debating it, putting it in not great, but I'll give it a pass just because it's John Cena and The Rock. Next, we've got WrestleMania 30, John Cena versus Bray Wyatt. The result was wrong. There's no reason why John Cena should have won that match. Bray Wyatt absolutely should have gone over. The match itself was not great either. I'd actually put it right beside the Big Show. It was slow. The attempt at in-ring storytelling with the whole sequence with the chair, the hit me, get you know, almost like the whole embrace the hate again. It wasn't great. It didn't work for me, so it's going to be going into the not great category. Next, we've got WrestleMania 31, John Cena versus the Bulgarian brute Rusev. And you know what? This goes into the acceptable bucket as well. The biggest thing from this was Rusev's entrance. He came out in a freaking tank, dude. But the match itself left quite a bit to be desired, if I'm being honest. I don't know what it is, man. I think this is maybe when John Cena started to fall off a little bit in terms of his in-ring capabilities, his in-ring work. He didn't really jive that well with Rusev. I love the fact that John Cena was in a match with an up-and-coming mid-carder, but there was no reason for John Cena to win this, like looking back, although it did lead to the amazing United States Championship reign that we got from John Cena. I still think it was the wrong choice, but Rusev coming out in a freaking tank, dude. I will never forget that. Next, we've got, you know what, let's just go ahead and put this in trash. John Cena and Nikki Bella versus The Miz and Maurice. Like, dude, I half of the time forget that this match even exists. When I go run through all of John Cena's matches, and, you know, if I'm trying to go from beginning to end, I always forget this one. I always forget that this match exists. Isn't that crazy? Like it's an entire year of John Cena that is completely erased from my memory. But yeah, like it was kind of just a setup for obviously like what happened between John Cena and Nikki Bella after the match, the proposal, yada yada yada. You guys know how that went. But it's the match itself, what it was, is not something that you're gonna go back and rewatch. You know what? Let's toss another trash in there. John Cena versus The Undertaker, and it was a squash match that lasted more or less about 3 minutes of just The Undertaker eating John Cena alive. And it's a shame because I feel like these two could have put on a halfway decent match. But apparently the story is that Undertaker was in shape and ready to go for 30 plus minutes, and that's what he wanted to do. But it was John Cena and Vince McMahon that convinced him to, let's just do a squash match. And I really believe that that was the wrong choice. I don't believe that that should have been a squash match. Even if it didn't end up being a great match, like that's too important of a matchup. Undertaker versus John Cena. I know the streak wasn't alive at this point anymore, but still, that's just such an iconic duo to relegate to a 3-minute squash match. It just felt wrong for both of those guys. I felt like it really did them both a disservice. So it's going into the trash category. And next, you know what? This is purely up to your personal taste. It is WrestleMania 36, the Firefly Fun House match between John Cena and The Fiend Bray Wyatt. This is one of my favorite WrestleMania matches of all time, even though it's not really a match, but it literally is my favorite John Cena match of all time because I'm a big John Cena fan. John Cena is my favorite WWE superstar of all time. And it was a love letter to John Cena fans. It was a retrospective of one of the greatest careers of all time being played out in such a creative manner, both with, you know, the alluding to him never having gone heel with the NWO John Cena, we getting old school ruthless aggression John Cena, like everything that they were able to put in front of us in that retrospective of a match was beautiful. And for somebody who was as big as a John Cena fan as I was smiling ear to ear seeing us go through the years of John Cena's career in this style of a match. Of course, we know this was the Pandemomania, no crowd. So it was, I felt like they made an excellent choice to go with something like this as opposed to a traditional in-ring match that we had already seen before previously at WrestleMania 30. So doing this, being creative, going outside of the traditional bounds of what a WrestleMania match should be, absolutely worked. It was brilliant, and I wouldn't change it for anything in the world. I have rewatched this so many times just so that I can pinpoint all of the different Easter eggs and all of the different references to pieces of John Cena's career throughout that match. It is brilliant. It is riveting. It is captivating. And it is, to me, a classic. That being said, if you say that it's trash, I wouldn't even argue that because it's not a match. So this is what I mean, that is absolutely up to your personal taste and what you want to get out of your wrestling. But to me, freaking 5 stars, man. Oh, hey, Future Santiago here. I forgot to do Austin Theory versus John Cena. I just wasn't in that tier list. I would put that in like the not great category, okay? You're still probably gonna go in the comments and be like, he forgot John Cena versus Theory. Well, you just didn't watch till the end. All right, and that's on you. That's on you. All right, folks, hopefully you guys enjoyed that. Make sure to leave a comment. Let's leave a comment about camera lenses. You know, we always do this thing where if you make it all the way to the video, I give you a secret code to leave in the comments. Make a comment about camera lenses. That way we can confuse everybody that didn't make it all the way to the end of the video. And of course, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel to get more videos, of course, and check out all my socials, especially Twitch, twitch.tv/Santizap. Thank you very much for watching this video. Take care, and go ahead and tell me in the comments about how wrong I am. I just don't care.